got breaking news for you guys on today's edition of the Bulls Report as Zach LaVine will undergo surgery on his right foot and will be out for the rest of the season. My name is Patrick Siepman, and welcome in. It was actually Adam Schefter who broke the news. He wasn't the first one to break it, but I thought it was pretty funny that Schefter was crossing lines and breaking some NBA news. But that's the news of the day. Zach LaVine will undergo surgery on his right foot and will be out the remainder of the season. We knew LaVine obviously missed time earlier in the year. He missed about 3 weeks with that right foot injury. Then he tweaked it again when he came back, and now it looks like he will decide to get surgery and be out for the rest of the year. We'll talk about what that means for the Bulls roster and also, the trade rumors that we've heard around LaVine over the past couple of months that, it was looking likely that maybe a team like the Pistons could get involved on the LaVine sweepstakes, and we'll talk about all that and more. But first, got to make sure you guys are subscribed here to the channel. Help us out. We actually are in a subscriber battle with our Heat Report channel here at Chat Sports. So if you guys want to help me beat them and beat them to 10,000 subs here on YouTube, help me out. Any news piece that comes out around the Chicago Bulls, like obviously this one, LaVine getting surgery getting surgery and out for the rest of the year, we'll have a video for you guys ASAP. So hit that sub button, lock us in, and help us out. All right, let's dive into it. Starting off from the Bulls side of things, I did expect LaVine to be dealt at the deadline. So, on the court, I just think it will, continuously help guys like Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu develop. We've seen them really take that up in their game, and especially Ayo, actually, over the last couple of weeks. You go look at his game log. He's been fantastic. Kevin O'Connor used to compare Ayo to a guy like Bruce Brown. Honestly, I like that take at first this summer, but I think Ayo has just shown that he is a more skilled version of a Bruce Brown. Still an elite point of attack guy on the defensive side of the floor. He's actually shown a pull-up jump shooting ability this season, and also the corner three ball from Ayo has been top-notch. So, seeing him continuously develop, and then obviously we know, Kobe White. I think he has an argument to be the most improved player in the National Basketball Association this season, and he's been playing like it, averaging 20-plus since LaVine obviously has gone out of the lineup. But, also now I want to see maybe a guy like Patrick Williams. Will he get more shot attempts and continuously, develop his game? I think that's, obviously negative news for LaVine, but, some positive on-the-court stuff. I think it's going to help the young guys, continuously develop here, which is, I think the number one thing, and I think the number one benefit of this whole thing. But now it's looking like, from the trade standpoint, LaVine's probably not going to get dealt. We heard the news from Zach Lowe that came out earlier today that the Pistons were extremely interested in LaVine, and those talks were real. He also said in that article that Bulls fans be ready to be disappointed in the haul that they would get back, talking about the Bulls and maybe have to attach draft picks to LaVine just to move his contract and to get off it. But, obviously I think those trade rumors are probably dead right now. I just don't know. I just don't know what a team is going to be wanting to give up for LaVine, coming off a season-ending foot surgery, also with his contract and him just not being the most, winning player in the NBA. Like, I just really don't know what his market would be even this summer. Like even if the Bulls want to move off him, this upcoming offseason, I don't know what they would get for him at this point. I honestly think the biggest, addition they could get would just be getting him off the roster and getting his contract off the books. But, unlikely he gets dealt now, but I still think guys like DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso and Nikola Vucevic are still fully on the trade block, even though the Bulls have kind of shown, I would say, a reluctancy to trade any of those guys, but there's definitely a good chance that they are dealt, and especially if a team calls you and says, we will give you 2 first-round picks for Alex Caruso. Said this on the channel multiple times. You got to take that deal. I love Caruso, one of the best wing point-of-attack defenders in the NBA. He's shown a great ability to kind of be that connecting piece on offense and also the three-point shot this year. One of my favorite players to watch in the NBA. But if you could somehow get 2 first-round picks for that guy, I'd do it 100%. But, obviously now this takes a lot of the juice out of the deadline for the Chicago Bulls with LaVine, obviously, undergoing this foot surgery. But, hopefully he recovers all well, obviously hope the best for him. But, hey, positive side for the Bulls. Young guys are going to continue to develop, throughout the season, and also more of reason to trade a guy like DeRozan, trade a guy like Caruso. It just gets more usage, gets more shots to these young guys. I think that's how the Bulls, best case scenario of them, getting back to like a true title contender 3, 4, 5 years from now would be having the guys like Kobe, Io, Patrick Williams, those guys continue to develop. But I'm going to wrap up my thoughts around the trade deadline, give you guys some Caruso trade destinations, and talk about DeRozan as well, as I think there are two teams that will be calling for him. But first, I want to give a big-time shout-out to Prize Picks. They are the sponsor of today's edition of the Bulls Report. If you guys head to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use promo code CLNS, we're going to hook you guys up with a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, it's daily fantasy sports made easy. All you got to do, pick 2 or more players, choose more or less onto projected stat types, and you guys can win 25 times your cash today. Any boring game in the NBA this season, I use Prize Picks. It's a ton of fun. You guys will enjoy it. It's super easy to play. It's the favorite app I have downloaded on my phone right now. In games tonight in the NBA, I'll be cooking up a couple lineups, so you guys should too. PrizePicks.com/CLNS and use promo code CLNS for first deposit match all the way up to $100. Get hooked up today. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. All right, let's wrap up just talking about this LaVine. Obviously injury and what it means for the deadline. I think Pistons were the number one team to trade for him. But I will say, even a team like the Kings, I thought could get interested in a guy like LaVine. I thought the Pacers, before they traded for Siakam, maybe could want a guy like that. In their up and down style of play, I think LaVine would have fit in well. But now the other guys, I think the Bulls do now need to shift their attention to maybe trading even a guy like Andre Drummond, at the deadline, where I think maybe a team like Dallas could call, maybe a team like Boston could give you a couple second-round picks, or maybe even a team gets desperate enough, could get you a first-round pick for Drummond. But in terms of DeMar DeRozan, I think DeRozan and honestly Caruso as well, I think the Miami Heat could be calling for those guys. The Heat are struggling right now. They need more juice. They just need more talent on that roster. And you got a defensive specialist in Caruso, and a guy still in DeMar DeRozan who you can still throw the ball to end of the shot clock, end of games, and he can go get you buckets, better than most players in the NBA. So expect the Heat to be calling on those guys. And if you could somehow get one of the Heat's young players like a Tyler Hero, I doubt they give up Jaime Jaquez, but get some of their draft picks as well and move off these guys. Again, I'm all in. The Bulls' max potential this year, especially with LaVine out, would be somehow to make the playoffs, get that 8th or 7th seed, and lose in 4 games. I think that's their best case scenario, is getting swept in the first round. You're stuck in this purgatory in the NBA right now. Sometimes you just need to rip the Band-Aid off, move on, and just, even though you may not get the most you want in a haul back for a DeRozan, Caruso, or a Vooch, but just sometimes just ripping the Band-Aid off and getting what you can could be a huge, benefit for this team moving forward. Sometimes you just need to admit, this season, the Bulls aren't winning it. The Bulls aren't making a run this year. It's okay. Set up for the future for you can finally get out of this just middle ground in the NBA, and that's when fans start to tune out. That's when fans stop showing up to the stadium, when they're seeing the same product over and over again, winning 35 to 40 games every single year. It's just boring. Trade some of these guys, trade these veterans, get the young guys more minutes. That's when fans get back involved. That's when the stadium gets loud, and that's when you can really grow something, with your homegrown talent, instead of just keep trying to put a Band-Aid over an open wound on your arm. It's just very frustrating. So I'm hoping the Bulls to do the right thing at this year's deadline and trade some of these, older veterans on the roster and really let these young guys develop and, get some draft capital as well, because you got to go find this blue chip player, And also, even if you're looking down the line, even though this year's class is not that good in terms of the draft class, what if you stink next season and you could somehow get Cooper Flag or something in Chicago? That's how you win championships, getting those blue chip guys, and you won't ever have a chance to get them if you keep on running back these group of veterans, because they are good enough to go win you 30, 35 games, but they're also nowhere close to good enough to winning you an NBA championship. So just kind of want to give you guys my thoughts and get you guys the news around Zach LaVine and obviously the latest around the Chicago Bulls trade rumors heading into the deadline. But thank you guys so much for watching. Drop a like on today's video if you haven't already, and also hit that sub button. We're going to be going live for the trade deadline coming up here next Thursday. So we'll see you guys next time. Again, thank you so much. And as always, even though when we're down like this, it is always go Bulls, baby.